Welcome to the news headlines this fifth Sunday of Lent. In a brief surprise appearance, Pope Francis said a few words after his weekly homily was read to the Jubilee for the sick and healthcare workers. He said the few simple words, "Have a good Sunday. Thank you very much." The Pope's contribution was met with applause and the delight of those in the crowd. In his homily for the Jubilee of the Sick, Pope Francis urged the faithful to find hope in suffering, comparing it to the Israelites in exile and the woman forgiven by Jesus. He emphasized that illness can be a place of encounter and grace, urging compassion and care for the sick. Reflecting on his own illness and dependence on others, Pope Francis described it not as a burden, but as a lesson in trust, gratitude, and hope. He encouraged the faithful to allow themselves to be loved. The Pope thanked healthcare professionals for their work, urging them to see every patient as an opportunity to renew their sense of humanity. He said the sick bed could become a holy place, where indifference and gratitude nourishes hope. The Israeli military has acknowledged errors in the killing of 15 emergency workers after new footage contradicted the military's initial account of the incident. The convoy, which included ambulances and a UN vehicle, had its lights on, contrary to initial Israeli claims of suspicious behavior. Red Crescent and other organizations are calling for an independent investigation. Meanwhile, Israel resumed airstrikes in Gaza and southern Lebanon. Meanwhile, Hungary has announced it will begin withdrawing from the International Criminal Court. This comes as Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu arrives in Budapest for a red carpet welcome despite an ICC arrest warrant for alleged war crimes. Finally, a recent report has addressed the difference between interest in biblical history and understanding of biblical teaching. Bible reading in the U.S. has fallen to historic lows, with 61% of adults rarely or never reading Scripture. While Bible sales have increased, many still disconnect from its teachings. Experts emphasize the importance of engaging with the Bible both individually and through church, urging a return to deeper, more frequent reading to spark spiritual transformation. In his Confessions, St. Augustine tells the story of a spiritual experience that triggered his conversion. Torn between sin and his attraction to Christianity, the future church father heard a child's voice chanting, "Take up and read." Augustine took this as a sign to read the Bible.